Welcome. So this is Aberration Unattractive. I'm Brian, and this is my friend Krista, and we are going to talk today about scheduling as it pertains to tabletop games. So yeah, you've watched the first While We Wait a little bit, and you said what did you think of the few minutes you watched?
I liked it a lot. You and Derp always have like great rapport,
Yeah,
um, and banter, so that was very entertaining.
Derp is always good to talk to, and
Hmm.
he's always got something interesting to say.
Yeah.
So Krista, this is your first introduction publicly to the channel. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah. So my name's Krista. I really like D&D and playing games and being a nerd in general, and I quite enjoy playing these tabletop games with these nerds.
Yeah. So you're gonna play Crowley whenever we finally get you away from school
Yeah.
in our route
Yeah.
campaign. Tell us about the other characters you played with us.
Okay, let's see. So the very first character that I played with you guys was Arethusa,
Hmm.
and she was a Dampier rogue that was really cool. I do wish I had kind of developed her voice more, but her mechanics were very fun to play.
Yeah. She was part of our Drakenheim campaign, Drakenheim by the Dungeon Dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and yeah, I loved playing with your character's backstory. You had a really good one, and
Yeah.
I thought that was fun to play with, and I think we could still do some more with that, even though we've quote unquote resolved your the thing that you were going for in game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like there's a lot of different avenues.
yeah. There's definitely some things that kind of popped into my mind that I might be interested in some obstacles I might throw in your way and see how you deal with them.
Ooh. Yeah,
Um,
I like that a lot.
yeah, I've got some great ones for Whitney's character as well, and I wish we could get back to that. And we talked about Derp's character Doug and his backstory and how he gave me so much free reign of that one. And yeah, that was a good reveal, I thought.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, like Doug was surprising.
and all right, and what was your next character?
The next character that I played with you guys was Khan in our Pathfinder game, and she was a very capricious little kleptomaniac monkey girl, so I loved her.
I loved Khan. She was so
Oh
awesome,
my god.
and I
She
can't
was
wait
so
to get back
fucking
to that.
cool. Oh my god, I loved it, the rapport and like the dynamic that we established with your character and Khan. Like they were a great duo.
Mm. And I think what I really liked about Khan is that people like you and me were very introverted people, and sometimes it could be hard to get you to come out in game. And Khan was one of those
Mhm.
characters that was really easy to get you out of your shell and play her. And
Oh yeah.
Khan was is quite the opposite. Is very it seems to be extroverted, and unless she's doing something shady. So
Yeah, I she was a absolutely fun character to play, and I think partly why she was a lot easier for me to play was because it was in a world that Whitney and I had created and I kind of knew what was happening. So I was kind of like an offshoot of the DM in a way, and that
uh,
made it a lot easier to get in character, weirdly enough.
it's such great world building that you guys have, and we really want to get back into that when we can.
I do too. We just need to fix the files.
So yeah, we kind of brought up some stuff during our the overthinking character building thing, and we talked about how we thought that it would be beneficial, like to do character builds at session zero, which we tried to do a couple weeks ago with Root, right?
Hmm.
And I kind of determined that we as a group, so we're pretty good at our dynamics, right? We've gotten to know each other over the years, and we talked about building characters as a group. That way, we each have a say in the other characters' build a little bit. That way, we're all invested in everybody's characters, right? So
Yeah.
it's kind of along those lines of, you know, you're invested in your world because you helped build it, right?
Mhm.
And one of the things I'm also trying to incorporate into the root game is like I'll just ask you guys what's in the world, right? Like during our second session, Jilly goes to talk to a town guard, and she walks into the room, and I said, "Who's in there? You tell me who the critter is." And she says it's an owl, and I just gave it a name, and we rolled with that. So now she's invested into this one critter because she created him, and I thought that was very that gives players some agency and some investment in what this world is, right? You know,
Yeah. I think that's a great idea.
and that's one of the things that it talks about in Root is to do that kind of thing. It's like just you know make some stuff up and let your players make some stuff up and roll with it. You know.
Yeah, I think that's a really good tool. I think for me as a player, I do find it difficult sometimes because since I am introverted and tend to overthink things, I'm like, I just stall and then I'm like, shit, what would be good in this moment?
I think it's like in a lot of cases, it's just best to go with your first instinct, you know? Just blurt it out,
hmm
you know? And we'll just go with it. And anything
Yeah,
you're trying to create like up front, don't be so detailed about it until it actually comes out in game, you know?
that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it can always change. Like I've already asked, Derp's already answered his questions about his backstory, right? But he
Mhm.
just ticked the box, and it's the most generic thing ever. So then he like one of the questions is, who did you leave behind? I think that's on like all the character sheets. And I asked him, I said, who did you leave behind? And he said, oh, okay, I think it's this guy, and his name is that, and he is this. And it hasn't come up in game yet, so if he wants to change it at any time, that's on him to let me know.
Mhm.
But yeah, as soon as it gets baked in, then it's baked in. And yeah, you had one more character in our Shroud game with Drew. Uh,
Oh shit, yeah. Oh, Murana. Murana. Oh my god. I was thinking of the other like sci-fi game that Drew did.
yeah.
But Murana was I actually forget like her build, but she was like, the femme fatale sort of like sorceress type deal. And I wish we could go back to that because there's a lot of like stuff in her backstory in particular that is very interesting and I've kind of developed a lot and I would like to be able to tell you guys.
We shall get back to that as soon as Drew surfaces again, comes
Yeah,
back to life.
submarine boy.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't feel bad. We both, me and Derp, forgot Marana's name in the in the while we wait episode. I did go back and find it though, and I was like, oh yeah. And
Yeah, it
so
it has been a bit, so
yeah,
I
that
don't I don't blame anyone for forgetting.
But yeah, I do remember she is a warlock were raven, and her and Sue have
Yes,
been
yes.
working on a little thing, and then
Oh yeah.
it's
I would really like to see that develop because there's a lot of like very interesting like tidbits beyond it that would make it more juicy.
so yeah. Hopefully one day we'll get back to those games, and I've got like I told Derp, I've got the Drakenheim and the Pathfinder games on the channel, private for just us. But yeah, here we are, public, going with Root. I thought it was a good start to get us going. Basically, dust the rust off because
Yeah.
yeah, that first game was pretty rusty. Yeah,
I enjoyed it though.
yeah, I mean, it was so bad. Even the audio was terrible, and that was just me being nervous. And I just reinstalled Windows on my computer. Everything was just jacked up.
Mm. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, let's start the scheduling pains of TTRPGs.
Mhm.
So, kick things off, just some random questions here. So, like, do you remember the last time the four of us, the is it the four of us, the five of us, have sat together and played a game?
Oh, shit, because like that would be even before when we played Cthulhu.
Yeah,
That was probably like I want to guess like ballpark 6 months, probably longer than that.
I do believe it's been probably close to a year.
Oh, that oof,
Yeah, it's been a while.
oof.
Life has been bad to us.
Yeah. Yeah, like last year was like really rough. This year seems to be like a little bit better, but we'll see.
hmm Yeah, Dirt moving back. I mean, Drew moving back stateside. Me changing jobs a couple times, and you guys going to school, and you guys hit the books so hard. Um,
Oh, I think the books hit us actually.
and yeah, with just things the way they are, life getting in the way, we kind of fell off a little bit, you know. But here we
Yeah.
are, trying to get things back together, right?
Yeah, I feel
So,
like at least for me, like with scheduling, just trying to do what we can, right? Like there's gonna be like a week or two where we're not gonna be able to do it, like, the past few. But we get to kind of like fill in the gaps, like with, this series while we wait. At least two of us get to be here and, chat and hang out.
mhm. I don't think I've ever done this, and I would slap my wrist if I ever thought about saying it. I'm sure a couple of the guys in the group have done this. How many times have you said, "I should be free next week," knowing full well you were not going to be free?
Okay, let's see. I have probably done it like, okay, we've known each other and played together since 2020, right? Or 2021?
It was 2022, summer 2022.
Oh, shit, okay.
Yeah,
So
I thought it was longer than that, but yeah, it was
yeah, me
22.
too. Okay, so in that period of time, I think there was probably like a handful of times where I just didn't feel like it, and I was feeling very hibernation mode is what I would say, where I don't wanna interact with anybody.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. I do try to do my best to, not do that, but, like, sometimes it can be kinda rough.
Yeah. I completely understand that. You don't want to disappoint anyone, so you say what everyone wants to hear, and then but you
Yeah.
can
Uh
trust us.
Yeah, I
So
think,
yeah,
like, especially more lately, I just wanna be more upfront about, how I'm feeling,
yeah,
and just making sure that everyone's aware.
and that is much appreciated. I
Yeah.
can tell you, episode one or session one, sorry, session one of Root, when you didn't come, I was so heartbroken, and
I'm sorry.
yeah, it's okay.
I
It it
mean, I
it
really the thing is, like, I really did want to go, but I realized that my exam was, like, right in the middle of it,
yeah,
and I had there was, like, nothing. That's, I'll have to post it again, but I did,
I saw
post,
it.
like, a
Yeah,
screenshot. Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
I've scrolled
so
back up to see it just to get my mind wrapped around it so that I'm prepared for the next exam. So um,
yeah.
yeah, uh,
After that, though, it should be good.
yeah. So yeah, I can tell you that that night the game was slightly affected by my feelings, and
Oh.
that's okay. I got back on track, and being prepared for you not being there on this past Friday was made that second session a lot better. Made me more prepared for that video as well. So yeah, like you can always be honest with me. I might get a little upsetty, but I'll get over it because I'm a big boy.
Upsetty spaghetti.
You think by my 40s I'd figure out how to, you know, get over my feelings about people having to deal with, life issues. So it's not their fault, and I shouldn't.
I think it's still perfectly reasonable for you to be upset, though.
Yeah, but
But yeah, yeah, definitely for the future quarters, while I'm still at the school especially, I will be trying my best to figure out when exams are and make sure that I can either mitigate them and try to get them not on Fridays or let you know if they clash.
hmm So that brings. I mean, is it even really game night if someone doesn't cancel an hour before? You know.
Yeah, because especially with online games, it's even harder to kind of corral people because they can just not show up. It's a little bit harder when, everyone's on the same wavelength in person and it's like you gotta be there.
Yep. It is definitely a struggle too as well, considering the time difference, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm on the East Coast here, so it's later for me. I've already done my chores for the night. It's dinner time for you, so you still have the rest of the night. You got to do the dishes. You got to, get ready for bed, and you got to
Mhm.
make sure your cats are fed or whatever. So I've already taken care of that stuff, and we get started, and Whitney's trying to get on, and she's also trying to make dinner. I'm listening, guys. I'm listening. You can hear hear the
Yeah.
sizzle of the pan.
Yeah, I feel like especially going forward, I do want to plan out, our dinners, especially trying to pre-do that when we can. Fridays Whitney does work, so I'll probably try to cook something or we'll, you know, order something in or whatever to help mitigate that.
Hmm. So, what do you think's going to be harder, uh, scheduling a game or planning a wedding?
Oh, I mean, it's hard to say because I'm kind of low key doing both. Um, but one of them is immediate, and the other is probably between 3 to 5 years from now. So I would say currently planning a game and getting everyone uh, corralled like cats.
Yeah, I would definitely say game night. As it's a regular thing. At least you try to make it one way.
Yeah.
You don't regularly have weddings or planning unless you're a wedding planner. Uh,
Oh yeah. If you're a wedding planner, then you got to deal with all kinds of stuff.
So yeah, those were just some relatable prompts to kick things off. But so the first question is, so why is scheduling game night so hard for adult players? I think that's a very easy question to answer, right? We're adults and adulting sucks.
Oh yeah. It's incredibly difficult to kind of get everyone's schedule aligned when you're adults because you have work, you have potentially kids, you have, maybe you're going back to school or you're doing something along those lines that require a lot of time. And also adults with all of that with all of those responsibilities, we're fucking tired, man.
Yeah. Being an adult requires a significant amount of self-discipline that you just
Mhm.
can't teach somebody. It's just something you have to learn on your own, right?
Yeah.
And also, as an adult, I think game night is about coming in and role playing, right? I think as an
Mhm.
adult, though, you spend all day role playing as these people you hate. And then you're just like, oh, I'm gonna go role play now. Even if it's somebody you love,
Oh.
it's just like, I don't know if I feel like pretending to be someone else after I've been pretending to be someone else all day.
Yeah, when you have the mask on and you're finally home and you take the mask off, but then it's like, "Oh, now time to role play."
Yeah.
There I feel like, at least with TTRPGs, you're putting on the mask of something more fun. So there's that at least.
Yeah. So, what pressures do you feel when you can't make a session? What kind of you can't make a session, and how does that press on you as a person?
I feel bad because I want to hang out with you guys and I want to have fun and visit these worlds that we've built together. And I don't like making you guys feel bad or feel bummed out for, the session changing because I haven't been able to be there. Yeah, it does suck.
Yeah, that's for sure. I remember, even though so I've always tried to make schedule like the Friday schedule a ritual for me, even though I've known like we weren't gonna play that night. It's not just for me to continue to keep the ritual going for myself, but it's also to keep the ritual going for my family, so that they know, hey, this is
Mhm.
my time, and you know I want them to have their time too, so I want them to, you know, have some scheduled ritual that they like to do. You know, my wife, she does her thing once a week, once every 2 weeks, with her friends. She goes out and spends the evening with them while I stay home with the kids. And she's never done that before, and now she's finally doing that, and it makes her happy, and that makes me happy, and I want her to want the same thing for me. So in order for that to happen, I continue to come out to my computer on Friday nights, whether I'm staring at it, drawing on it, playing a video game on it, or playing a TTRPG, which I'd prefer to do. So
Mhm.
there was one night a few weeks ago where we were not playing, but I was going to get on the Friday. The wife insisted that we needed to clean the house because we were having a party that weekend, and I ended up not coming out here. And it, even though we weren't doing anything, it still bummed me out. And I was,
Oh.
I think I was very nasty to her. But then I made up for it by being a useful guest at the party, which is unusual for me. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
mm,
it's
you just want to make everybody
it's
happy,
really
and it's hard.
important. Yeah. And it's still really important though to have, time for yourself, right?
Hmm.
The work, family, me time, like whole debacle.
Yeah. I've been trying to, like I've been dealing with my own like personal depression and things like that over the past year, and like D&D and tabletop games have always been my go-to to kind of overcome those. And it got to the point, obviously, where I got pretty burned out GMing our games, so I, kind of passed the game around, and
Mhm.
I kind of lost sight of the fact that, like I always felt like I didn't want to be the linchpin, but I kind of felt like I was the linchpin of the group, like because I got the group started, and I've always been the one that's kind of tried to corral everybody, and then I got so burned out that I was like, okay, I'm gonna pass the GM on, and I kind of felt like I forgot to say, hey, now it's your responsibility to corral everybody, and we kind of, it kind of fluctuated a bit there for a while. So
Yeah.
I've gotten to back to a good spot with myself. I still have, things I'm dealing with, but I feel a lot better, and I'm kind of renewed and want to get back into gaming again. And so
That's good.
yeah, I'd like to talk as a group about getting, our like how do we want to approach things like when someone can't show up, or because I don't like canceling the night just because,
Mhm.
Drew didn't show up. Um,
Yeah. I feel like it's very important to just keep the train rolling and being flexible because like there's a lot of times like again we're all adults so we sometimes can't show up. So that doesn't mean that the party's over though.
right.
It just means that you adapt.
Let's see. So the next question is, how do you avoid guilt when life gets in the way? And I hope that what I would like to hope is that we are a part of helping you feel less guilty about not showing up, right? Because as all adults, we know that we're all
Mhm.
dealing with life stuff. Um, I think the person who probably gets upset the most was Drew. I think it just frustrates him. So
Yeah.
I think Drew's a lot like a very regimented. Um, when we say we're going to be on, we should all be on. It's funny because as a player, he's completely chaotic, but when it comes to being the DM, he's very regimented and by the book. This is one of the things me and Derp talked about last week was the difference in him as a player and him running the Strahd game. And I talked about how I think Drew's a very creative person, and
Mhm.
I think he's a good DM, and he's going to be a better DM if he could learn to let go of the words of the book. I think he's
Mhm.
afraid to break the module, is what it is. So,
Yeah.
um,
I feel like it kind of makes sense for Drew's personality in a way though, because like as a player, he doesn't have to have the reins, so he gets to be free. But
mm,
the minute that he's the DM, he has to worry and like maintain a lot of different things all at once. So he just sticks to the books because, it's a good like fail safe.
Yep. I think one of the issues with that, though, and I have being someone who loves to do this, he's unable to incorporate our backstories into the game. So
Hmm.
those things aren't able to develop as the game progresses unless we like really push into them and take the reins. Like,
And that can be difficult for a player like me who is quite introverted.
yeah. So yeah, one of the things I had to do with Dungeons of Drakenheim was insert NPCs who did not exist in the module, and insert locations into the module so that we could really play up those backstories. It was really great when the second book came out, the Sebastian Crow's Guide to Drakenheim. It expanded the greater world of the continent, and I was able to implement a lot of that stuff into Derp's backstory. And then I've been trying to incorporate some of that into Drew's backstory because he's playing one of the classes from that from that book. So
Hmm.
you you and Whitney have just you guys started out with like we're gonna play these characters. Like, well, these aren't really like part of that world, but you know what? Fuck it, let's do it.
I guess that's one of the best parts about being a DM, right? Is you get to like play with like your other players and like their characters, and you can yes and them, and that
Mm.
makes it a lot more fun with for everybody.
Yeah, yes, and is great. Uh,
I unironically feel like a lot of TTRPGers should do improv at least once in their life.
yeah, that was one of the things I've been like looking at over the past year, at least during our off time, is like trying to find ways to be a better player and a better DM and GM. And improv was one of those things. It's like, how can I get better at improv? I was doing internet searches and I didn't quite find anything that spoke to me, but that was one thing I was looking up. I was also looking up on trying to do better voices. Like I'm looking forward to you playing the Crooked Moon, which is by Legends of
Yeah.
Avantris, another great channel to watch for those who haven't watched it.
Yeah. When I do DM for Cook and Moon, I would love to actually have it be public and
Oh,
just,
all right.
goof and gaff.
And we will discuss that then. Yeah, I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to playing the character I've come up with. I've even been practicing my I've been practicing my voices. He's definitely gonna have that Cajun accent that I've been working on.
Mhm. Nice.
So let's
I
see.
also like really need to work on my voices because I feel like the only character that I was particularly good at getting into character with was Khan
Mhm,
because she was a lot more cavalier. So I kind of gave her more of like a cavalier intonation.
mhm. I've as far as voices goes, I would like I follow this guy. His name's Chris Lipe. He teaches you how to sing. But one of the videos he brought up was Jack Black, in the new Minecraft movie where he does his lava chicken song. He talks about how uh, Jack Black uh, expresses himself, and I think Jack Black has spent his entire life just not giving a shit about how stupid he looks, and it has been to his benefit. He's such a expressive vocalist, whether it be
Mhm.
just through acting or singing. And I think that's one of the one of the ways you got to emulate your voices. Just go for it, play with your
Yeah,
voice, and figure it out. And so that's one of the things that I've been
absolutely.
definitely trying to do lately. Because I like to sing too. So,
Yeah.
but you'd probably never get me to do that on the channel.
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe you'll sing like an intro or an outro.
Hmm. So here's a question. Do you think GMs or players should take more initiative on rescheduling?
Yes. I think so. I think everyone should be, relatively equally like honest and transparent about when they can't do something or when they can. And finding like at least the mental flexibility and the communicative flexibility to do so.
So yeah, group effort. It's on everybody. Yeah, I would agree
Yeah.
with you there.
Yeah, it's definitely a group effort thing because like nothing ever gets done if everyone's just kind of left to their own devices.
Yeah. And I think one of the ways to definitely overcome that is the consistent schedule, right?
Yes.
Like we've pretty much been consistently Fridays for like 2.5 years, at least, when we played. But yeah,
Yeah.
that that was yeah. I think that is one solution to overcoming any scheduling issues. It's like we all talked about it, right? Like we got these days during the weekend. What day works best for you? I can do Friday and Saturday. I can do Friday and Sunday. I can do, and it comes down to Friday, or
Hmm.
possibly booting somebody out. Right? So, thankfully we've not had to go that route.
Yeah, it's I feel like, as far as scheduling goes, you do kind of have to be very transparent, but also like a little bit cutthroat if someone consistently just isn't putting the work in, whether it be communication or just, virtually showing up since we're online.
hmm So, I know this hasn't been your only group that you've played in before, right? You've
Hmm.
played with other people. Um,
Yeah.
so what helped keep those groups alive for the times that you were playing with them?
Let's see. So the very original group that Whitney and I first played a D&D game in with, we consistently did Saturdays. And I think the biggest thing that kept us going for that period of time was just the constant communication, but also like there was low bar of entry because it was text based.
hmm
So a lot of times we had our scheduled Saturday meeting, but if we wanted to, there was like another chat where we could just continue role playing throughout the week.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
that unfortunately that group just didn't last because of, you know, dynamics that just didn't work.
right, yeah. So I started playing Dungeons and Dragons in I want to say 2010. It was just a couple guys was like, "We think you'll like this. I know you've heard of it, but have you ever played it?" I said, "No." And they're like, "Would you like to?" And I said, "Yeah," because I love fantasy and stuff, but I was never really familiar with the game itself. I got a handful of books from the guy who was running the game, and he consistently scheduled a game. I think it was every weekend that we all had off because we were still on the boat. We were doing duty days, so if we had a Friday night or a Saturday night where we were off, we would we would go and play. And I think we did. I want to say we did like 4 or 5 sessions, and I had a blast. And it was a few years later. We went on deployment, and I was like, I want to try my hand at DMing, and I was awful. It was like we didn't get off the ground at all. We started a game, and I didn't really know how to progress it. And not to mention, so my friend James and a couple other guys, we started playing, and James and the other guy were role playing, and I kind of got weirded out. I'm not gonna lie, but so we never picked that game up after like the first session, and we didn't even leave the tavern. So I felt like a failure. But I decided to give it my hand
No.
again, give it a try again when I got to my last boat. I had picked up on Critical Role, and I was like, I really want to try again. I know I'm not going to be as good as these guys, but this is a really fun game, so I gave it a shot again. I got Durpin. He had the most wackiest character. We talked about Mr. Salami. He talked about that was his introduction to D&D, and that was all 3.5. And he's like, I'm pretty sure I did the entire character sheet wrong, and blah blah blah. And I finally made a world a small little continent, and we kind of played on it a little bit. I think I had a really good story going, and it kind of fell off because players weren't getting along with each other. So,
Mm.
and then I finally decided I was, you know what, I want to try a fifth edition, which I thought was a very streamlined edition, and got me some books, learned how to play it, and I said, let's play D&D while we're on duty, and it's just gonna be casual because I suck at this, and that's how we started our pirate campaign, and that was probably one of the best games we ever played. So yeah, so keeping that was like my first real keep it alive was the pirates, and that one was easy because I was like, if we're on duty, we're playing, and that's what we did. And just like, and we took turns as playing as DM, so we all had characters, we all had stories, and we kind of built this campaign up and as we were playing. So that's what we did to keep that game alive.
Nice.
And yeah, after I left, it was awesome to see Gary take the reins on that one and close it out a few years later.
I've done like a couple of games, I would say, like before we did Drakenheim. It was the very first one, and then an offshoot of that one because we were kind of like, hey, these people are kind of weird. Let's do our own thing. And that actually lasted like 2.5 years,
Wow.
but that also blew up because of interpersonal conflicts and lots of drama.
Mm,
Uh, but after that, it was Dragonheim, and then a lot of like the other campaigns that we've done together as a group, and more recently, Whitney has been working on a cyberpunk campaign that
nice.
is really fucking cool.
That's what I wanted to try out too. Cyberpunk. I don't have the book for that one yet. All of the books that I've bought over the past year since the D&D debacle. Let's see. I got Root, Pathfinder. Just recently, I picked up Morkborg and Alien the RPG.
Ooh.
Yeah, those will be really cool to try out someday.
I'm not sure if there's already like a pre-made TTRPG, but I would love to do, and like Whitney has already said this, but doing like a TTRPG in like the Stalker game,
Oh
like
yeah, yeah.
universe.
Oh, that's another one I've got is the Dishonored tabletop RPG. That was one of my favorite stories in video game
Ooh.
history. So good. So, would you rather have fewer players more often or a full group once in a blue moon?
Fewer players, honestly.
Same. Yeah, same.
Yeah.
There was
I feel
a.
like
Go ahead.
if you have like a full group, if you're dealing with like six or God forbid more people, that's way too much. Like I know there are talented DMs who can deal with it out there, but at least for me, I know I wouldn't be able to deal with it.
Yeah, I can sometimes have issues juggling characters because I want to make sure everybody's got a little bit of spotlight, right?
Mhm.
And it can be difficult for me as the DM to come back around to forcing that. And that's something I actually have to talk to everybody about as players. Like, hey, if you feel like someone's hogging the spotlight, don't forget about the introverts that need to be brought in. Like,
Yeah.
try to make it like not just my responsibility, but other people's responsibility. It's like, oh, hey, Marana, what's going on over there? What you looking at? Something like that.
That is a good way to go about it, is just making your more exuberant characters players to just be more aware of the rest of the party. Like, hey, if you notice that someone hasn't talked for a little bit, interact with their character, get them going.
Yeah, because you can definitely feel like some people might end up leaving because they don't get any spotlight time, and they're just
Hmm.
too upset or too not too upset, but too scared to say anything, so they don't want to rock the boat,
Yeah.
which
Yeah. I'm definitely like I'm on the verge of being that type of person where it's like I don't want to rock the boat, but also like, I trust you guys. I know that you won't get like super bummed out or like angry if I say something. So,
yeah. So yeah, like I want to say the last two or three episodes, we did, or episode sessions we did with Strahd. I was really bummed out you weren't there because I was like, I'm gonna bring Krista in this. We're gonna do something, where I like get all embarrassed and want to be all close to her and things like that. and and you weren't there, and Whitney was running your character. I was like, I can't do this with Whitney. It wouldn't be fair to Krista.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I think if I remember correctly, that period of time I was in like a pretty bad depressive episode.
Hmm.
And I was busy too, so it just made it worse. When we do resume the Strahd campaign, I definitely want to be more upfront because I want to develop Marana more. She should be more involved because of the type of character she is. I just have to really find her voice, I guess.
Hmm. I think that's something I kind of wanted to touch on with Drew as well. Like, hey, you know, we're really having fun with the campaign. Just try to figure out how you can incorporate our backstories or
Mhm.
our like the things we're trying to do as a party to be cohesive. Um, which part of that is developing whatever relationships we are developing. Like, so my thing with Shabbat is like I just kind of look at her like this child who is trying to find yourself in the world, and I'm just kind of like, all right, I'm gonna let you step back and make your own mistakes, but don't worry, I'll be there when you fall, or I'll be there to
Mhm.
praise you when you do something right too. And oh man, we talked about Ruckus too. Ruckus is such a great character because
Oh
he's
my
so
god.
supportive of everybody, you know.
Yeah.
So
He's just
um,
I feel like Ruckus and Siobhan in particular, I feel like together they're the heart of that group.
yeah,
But I think probably a little bit more so Ruckus because of just the way he is.
yeah. Yeah, we talked about Ruckus, and he's like, Derp said, he's like, yeah, I just let you guys build my character. You guys would say something, and it would influence, who he was as a character. And at the same time, like his interactions with us also kind of helped, I think, shape at least my character, Sue,
Mhm.
because I kind of got to a point I think with Sue where I was like, I really don't know how to really develop this cleric in crisis thing. Like, I really just feel like I'm a dark elf who is questioning his faith, but still like going with it, kind of thing. I don't know. It was kind of
Mhm.
weird.
Cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, I think I was kind of relying on Drew a little bit too, to kind of pick up on those things and insert NPC or insert event that would kind of spark something inside of me as a player to evolve the character a bit. So,
Mhm.
because like we talked about when I'm running games, I love backstories. I love incorporating backstories in games. I think it makes the story so well rounded, right? Um,
Yeah, it's way more interesting and there's more potential avenues because, each player is putting something different in there.
it invests you in the story overall, right? Um,
Mhm.
so I'm not to say that I'm not invested in the Strahd campaign at all. It's just like I probably feel like you guys do when we're playing Dragonheim. Like I honestly felt like I was being slow with the game. I think maybe from Drew's perspective, like he wants to get to the action. I think,
Mhm.
and sometimes there's gonna be. I think there are gonna be games where you just play and you just role play the entire time.
Oh,
Dice
yeah.
maybe never come out, and I guess maybe I feel like Drew doesn't like that, but I'm not sure. I haven't really talked to him about it. Something I should should do when he gets back.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah,
know
I feel like
you guys like it.
oh,
So you and Whitney are
yeah.
into it. Derp's into it.
Yeah, I think Whitney and I we're very into the backstory, we're into character dynamics and you know all of the juicy tidbits that happen between characters.
Yeah.
That's mostly where I get my investment in is literally just being part of the world, but more importantly, part of the group.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how do you feel about running sessions with missing players? Like, it happens on occasion with us. So, like,
I I don't really like mind it too much because it's just something that I accept as part of the reality. But there are times where I'm bummed. Like, I don't think there's really been that many times where you've had to bow out, but I think there was one time where I was kind of bummed. And then there have been a couple times where I was like, "Oh shoot, Drew or Derp would have been really cool in this particular scenario if they were here."
yeah, yeah. I definitely, like, yeah, I talked about being bummed when you were out for Strahd, and I think there were times where I can't think of anything in particular, but I'm absolutely sure there have been times where like someone bowed out and it would have been like their session to
Oh
be
yeah.
there.
There was there was one Strahd where it was literally like Murana was like the fucking MVP and like I'm pretty sure it was the session where everyone was down except her and Whitney was playing her as this badass who like jumped out the
Oh
window and
yeah, I remember
yeah.
that
And
one.
I was so bummed that I missed that one, but I can't remember specifically why. I think it was because I was like cramming for something and I was also really depressed and in hibernation mode.
hmm
But man, I do wish I had gotten to play that one. But also like if I played that one it might not have gone that way. So then it's like, I don't know.
I can say that I'm obviously willing to play a session with missing players. I mean, I've done it. You know, I'd say one of the players I miss the most is Gary. Oh, Gary.
Meh.
So,
I miss Gary a lot too.
yeah. To be transparent, I started this group because I wanted to play with Gary, not anyone
Mhm.
else. I wanted to play with Gary. Um, I was happy that Derp came along too for the ride. I honestly didn't expect Derp to stick around as long, and Derp is he's so fun to play with. Um,
Yeah.
Gary is such a great storyteller, and he makes such great characters. So yeah, I was pretty bummed when he bowed out. I
It was
decided to
just
not let it bother me and to keep going because I was having fun, right? And
yeah.
we've come a long way,
Yeah,
despite
I mean,
so.
there's been like a lot of really cool moments.
I think Gary's issue was some people got a case of the tisms and they feed off each other, and um I think Gary has a lower tolerance for the Gen Alpha speak than I do. Um,
Ah.
whereas
Was it mostly that, or did he also just not like the online
I
formatting?
he definitely didn't like the online formatting. He was willing to, forego that, just to be able to play. But I think the Tism bouts kind of was the icing on the cake for him. He's just like,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, you know how Whitney and Drew feed off each other, and
Oh, yeah.
so it kind of got to him a bit. He's like, I don't know what anybody's fucking saying. I can't follow anything. I don't know what the fuck Riz is. So, yeah, he didn't tell me
I
that, but
mean, yeah, I guess for me, like, a lot of times if I get overstimulated by the tism, I just check out a little bit. That's how I deal with it.
yeah, I think Gary felt like he was checking out a little too much, and
Mm,
he's as a storyteller, he loves being involved in the game, right?
yeah.
Like when we played in our pirate game, like we would finish and he'd come to me and be like, "Hey, I was thinking we could do this," or "I think we should do this," and we would do so much planning out of game together, and that's one of the things I really miss. So I'm always trying to talk to Gary about our game stuff, and he hasn't quite bitten. So I try not to bother him too much about it, but you know, I want him.
No.
I always want to try to make sure he's doing okay. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I have talked to him about playing again, and he seemed a little interested, but I'm not gonna press him on it. I want him to be happy. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there are times where it's like, sometimes a group dynamic just doesn't work out for some people and it sucks, but you gotta do what you gotta do, right?
yep. I'll say I know I probably put this I definitely put this out there. I don't know if the like the full meaning of what I said may have connected with everybody, but like I said I really want to get back into playing games with you
Hmm.
guys, but if you guys are too busy, that's fine. I just wanted to touch base with everyone before I started bloating our group with more people to play, right?
Right.
So, like I said, I was talking to Gary about playing. One of the games he'd like to play is Out of the Abyss, and
Ooh.
I said I will absolutely run Out of the Abyss, and he's like, I will probably like to play that because he's a huge fan of Dark Elves. My one thing with Gary was like, I will let you pick the players, so the people you want to play
Ah.
with. Kind of a way to kind of reel him back in a little bit. And I wanted to make sure before I committed to even that, that I had talked to you guys about it.
Yeah.
So you guys are my core group. Will always be my core group, unless something happens. But um, we've got a good thing going. 3 years strong now, so strong, quote unquote strong. Yeah, we've been able to. One of the things I really love about our group is that despite the long amount of time it has been between gameplay that we've had, we've always been able to at least come to a table at some point and actually talk to each other and
Hmm.
figure out where we want to go from there, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead and and, freestyle on that if you want, if you will.
Um, yeah. Have you thought of like how you would like to structure doing like a separate group with Gary? Like, would you want to do every other Friday, like with different groups, or would you like to do a different day?
So I was thinking of a different day because
Okay.
I think Gary, when we were playing on Saturdays, right? And
Hmm.
he was the reason we were playing on Saturdays because everybody could play on Saturdays, but not Fridays with him. And Fridays ended up working better for everybody after Gary bowed out. If I was gonna introduce Gary back in, I would like to keep Fridays as our day and maybe
Hmm.
add another day, but that's something I would have to like a subject I would have to breach with my wife.
Hmm.
At one point I did have 2 days a week when my neighbors were playing with me. I'd go across the street and play over at my neighbor's house. That we don't do that anymore due to unfortunate life issues. So I am
Hmm.
now back to just Fridays.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with, you know, you guys like creating another group and playing because I want you to be happy. I want you and Gary to be able to play.
That is that's something I'll have to talk to him about and talk to my wife about. If you didn't know, Gary has left the Navy. He is now at a new job. Um,
Oh,
he is getting his civilian life in order now. So um,
nice.
yeah, it's been I think 2 or 3 months now since he got out. So I'm kind of giving him his space. I talk to him every once in a while just to check in and say, "Hey, buddy, I love you." And
Yeah.
yeah, so I haven't brought up him playing in a hot minute. I have sent him, our videos. I doubt he's watched them. He still seems kind of stressed out, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
uh,
big life changes
yeah.
and stress you out like nothing else.
I did tell him he might have to come on to a While We Wait video and do an interview with me.
Ooh,
Talk about his time as a player with us as a group and that kind of stuff.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah. So I think that's something I would really like to do too. Is we'll do the While We Wait for a while until like I think once we get into a good rhythm, maybe I'll move it to a different day and invite a guest. So I was thinking, one day I'd do Gary, or I could get Caleb to come on and talk to him,
Mhm.
or I could get James to come on and talk to him because James, he's been playing since he was a kid. He's got So many stories. So many stories. He even made he homebrewed his own 3.5 game that I played in. That was crazy good. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I think it's cool, and I think it would be especially cool if we can do like the round robin sort of thing, at least with our group, where you have a one-on-one sit down with everybody in the group.
Yeah. Yeah, I I I think this episode of While We Wait was pretty fortunate,
Yeah.
with Dirt and Whitney being engaged for the night and you being free. So
Yeah.
it was great. So yeah, it'd be great to get Whitney on, and when Drew gets back, get Drew on. It's gonna be a hot minute before Drew gets back, but when he does, we can even talk about how we will rotate through games. Because
Hmm.
we got we have at least three ongoing like long-term games. I think root we can that we can I think we'll gauge that one to be medium, short to medium.
Hmm.
And yeah, there's a bunch of other systems we want to try out. Blades in the Dark. I want to do Mork
Hmm.
Borg. Want to do Alien RPG, which that can be done in a single session.
Ooh.
Because I mean, you play, you get killed. That's pretty much our Alien RPG right there.
Yep. Yeah. I wonder if we should figure out like a more structured way of cycling through our, longer form campaigns of like, oh, well, X amount of sessions. And then if you start feeling fatigued, then, we switch.
Well, I can tell you. So I'm a huge fan of Legends of Adventurous. Those guys run so many games every week or month, right? I don't. Obviously, I think the only reason they can keep up with it is because they've been able to go full time at it. And
Yeah.
that's really awesome for them because they're so talented.
Yeah,
Um,
that certainly helps.
so like they've definitely got a schedule worked out for the team. Yeah, it's all about the let's say the person running the game, the game master, and how often they would like to run it. And if we like decide to add more days, obviously that's not going to be feasible right now because we're all adults
Right.
doing adult things that don't
Maybe
involve
when we're
making.
senile.
Yeah, maybe when our
Yeah.
channel goes viral and we're super famous.
Oh,
The likeliest
dude,
of
I would fucking love
scenarios.
that. I mean, that's kind of been one of my dreams is just kind of be able to, share my creative shit with the world.
Yeah, yeah, same here. And I think one of my biggest things as a person is I'm always late to the party. My entire life, I've been late to the party. I didn't get into D&D till I was in my 30s, and I regret it.
Yeah.
I, didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, so I spent 20 years in the military. Not to say I'm unhappy with my life. It's just sometimes, you sit there and you're like, damn, I wish I'd have known about that. I could have started, 10 years ago, like
Yeah,
them
I
people.
I think the thing though is like the what ifs do tend to like
Hmm.
distract you from, what you're doing right now. That's the only thing there.
And that is why I've just gone ahead and bit the bullet and started public posting and said, fuck it.
Yes.
Just,
Yeah,
I
I'm
want to,
so happy that you decided to do that.
I said, I just want to be happy and, I'm going to share. I'm probably going to get criticized. Who cares? I don't have
Yeah,
feelings
I
anymore.
mean yeah, that's actually something that I've been thinking about too is I'm starting to develop some engineering like projects and I think what I'm going to do is just pick up a camera and start talking about it and filming me creating them
Nice.
and just, if my wife is the only one who watches it, I'm happy with it.
All right. So yeah, that I think that about covers it. That was we talked about scheduling issues. I mean it's a pretty straightforward subject. I think we talked about
Yeah.
why, how. We touched a little bit on like how to overcome some of those things. So I think one of the main things was like just setting a schedule and sticking to it and continuing whether everybody shows up or not.
Yeah.
I think there does have to be a limit in some cases, like so said person doesn't show up without a good excuse, like some number of times. You say, okay, maybe this session, this particular game isn't the one for you, or hey,
Yeah.
you've got shit that you need to deal with, and we want you to make sure that your adulting is taken care of first, because that's the most important thing. You got to pay them bills. Playing games ain't gonna pay the bills.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
thankfully, I don't think we're not in any situation like that. 'Cause we're very we're open. We talk a lot about what's going on in our
Mhm.
lives. Um,
Yeah, I do feel like, that scenario is definitely when it's someone who very consistently does not show up, but also, like, doesn't tell you
the
why
aloof person.
beforehand.
Uh,
Or, like, yeah, yeah, it's not great to do that.
mm-hmm. Let me see if there was anything else I had. Oh yeah, there was also another solution is having a plan B. You know, if you have a player
Oh.
that you need to be there, and they can't show up, do something else. Play a one shot, have a board game, do a video game. We've kind of talked about that a little bit as a group, playing. Like we played Baldur's Gate for a while. My brother's into Lethal Company, so that's something
Oh.
a lot of guys like to get into. Oh yeah, so there was talk. There's a point here about burnout from constant replanning. Um,
Mhm.
some solutions it offers was rotating who leads the schedule, so who's GMing for the night. Again, that's something we kind of touched on. It talks about using asynchronous tools like Discord polls. The last thing it mentions is deciding on the schedule at the end of every session. So like we finished last week's session and I said, okay, is Krista going to join us next week? And they said, actually, we're not even going to be here, but Krista's going to be available. I was like, well, me and Krista can do a while we wait then.
Yeah, it's funny how that works out, right?
Yep. But yeah, that pretty much covers that. Whoa, we've got a few more.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So like a scenario would be like being anxious after missing a few sessions, right?
Mhm.
So I imagine that might be something you would be concerned about coming into third session of Root, right? Don't worry, I've got a plan to
Yeah.
introduce you. I had
Ooh.
if we had played tonight, I had intended to kind of work that into the story. So, but that doing a single character session was like it's not a priority.
Mhm.
Basically, what I had intended to do was like we were gonna write your backstory a little bit as part of the game, but it was gonna be in the present.
Oh.
Um, I had a way to do it, and it's fine. We don't have to, but yeah, it would have ended with with you being at the cusp of the next scene where we pick up in the game, but you will still be there.
Okay, nice.
So that's just if you remember, you've been wandering in a venomous fugue. So
Yeah. I do believe, like, I will be available next Friday. I hope everybody else will be available too so we can play.
I'm pretty sure Derp will be there. So
Okay,
you
nice.
just bring your lady along and we'll be good. So yeah, it's some other solutions it mentions is doing a gentle recap, and that's something we do every game. And talks about making sure you highlight the fun and not the missed decisions of the character, right? And reinforcing that it's okay. It's okay you missed a session. It's fine. You're gonna jump back in. You don't have to know every detail. We've written it into the story. You're not gonna know what's going on, so it's gonna
Mhm.
work out just fine, right?
Yeah, I'm still formulating, like, Crowley as a character, and that's actually something that I wanna do this weekend into, next week is working on the character sheet and
hmm
trying not to overthink
Yep.
it.
It is one of the easiest character sheets to fill out and not think about. Like, yeah, you just go in and check those boxes for backstory and build on them later in game.
Okay.
Obviously you can have a loose idea of what you want, and as it comes up, there you go. So
Yeah.
yeah, last thing it says is let the player reintroduce their character with a fun "What's changed while you were gone" moment. I don't really know how to elaborate on that. It's like I guess it's kind of like if you ever watched Roseanne as a kid when
Yeah.
they kept changing all the Beckys and the original Becky comes back in the later seasons. They're like, "Where have you been?" Yeah, I think that covers it.
Yeah.
Any outgoing remarks?
I'm very excited for Root and hoping that we'll be able to get back to our other campaigns. And I'm also just really excited that you're posting stuff publicly and, we're getting it rolling and we're having fun.
Most important
Yeah.
part, having fun.
Yeah.
All right, I think that does that for this episode of While We Wait. So everybody have a great night, and see you next week where we do another While We Wait, and hopefully a game night.
Bye boy.